The Amazon rainforest is on fire right now, and a lot of people don't know what that means, or they can't really they can't like conceptualize that. They can't like put that into words or figure out what it means in the grand scheme of things. So I'm going to give you an example of what it would be like to take in 20% less of the oxygen you're already taking in. So let's just start a regular breathing exercise. All right, breathe all the way in. Open those lungs all the way up. Take it, take it, take it. Hold. Now let out. Stop. Breathe back in. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Stop. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe out. Empty your lungs. You're empty. Now breathe in. Now stop. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe in. Stop. Out. 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 In. Out. 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 And that burning, suffocating, tingling sensation going through your body. Yeah, just imagine that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the rest of your miserable lives. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Identity Booth. I don't know when this is coming out. This is probably out on the docket really early because of relevance, but I don't know if I doubt the video has come out yet. But thank you to our guest from last week, or the guest you'll be watching next week, Arba, for coming out and talking to us about taking a break. We greatly appreciate you, but let's not waste time. Let's get into it because I want to kind of get this out. It's kind of late when I'm recording this, but we want to talk about, there's so much to talk about. Like, if we could just do a brief recap of what has been going on, I find myself being overwhelmed, like just over it all. And it's not so much because it's just too much coming. It's just that it's getting to the point we don't even have a response for it. The president of the United States, who has a Orthodox Jew son-in-law and an Orthodox Jew wife, not wife, but they almost damn near date each other, daughter, he said he was the king of all Jews. He's used Nazi propaganda to describe what it would be like if you were a Jew and you voted for a Democrat. Like, he's made fun of black people. He's attacking the squad. Like, this president is so draining. And it just came out recently on Axios that he talked to his administration about how to end these natural disasters such as hurricanes. And you know what this president's bright idea was? It was to blow up the hurricane with a nuclear weapon. That was his idea. Now, he's not alone with this. He wasn't the first person to ever think of this. In fact, the first person to think about it was in the 70s. Yeah. That long ago, we figured out that shit wouldn't work, and if you blew a nuclear device up in the middle of a hurricane, all you would successfully achieve or accomplish is letting the nuclear waste ride on the waves of that air pressure that would be spread all around the world and ostensibly starting the end of our extinction. But if we want to talk about our extinction, we can talk about the irony that a rainforest is on fire. And it's just not any rainforest. It's the rainforest that holds 20% of our oxygen. It is a rainforest under the control and under the guidance of this dictator / idiot / climate denier / consequence of the United States not being the United States. Now, hear me out. I'm not the biggest fan of the United States, but I will say something, and this might seem controversial. When the U.S. is not being Big Brother, it lets other countries act amok. And that's where you get these Boris Johnsons, the Balzardis, and the Alushads, and the Turkish Prime Minister, all these weird, far right, these idiots who kind of just speak with their chest out and don't really have any rhyme or reason for what they're doing. They were elected off of fear. So now the people who have come to their senses and been like, okay, this isn't appropriate, but it's too late. These people have to serve terms. It's not like you can't change presidents like you do your underwear. When you make a mistake, you got to sit in that shit. Literally. And that is what's going on in Brazil. And if you don't know, 3 weeks ago, which is now a month ago, so the Amazon rainforest has been on fire for a month. And I didn't know about this until 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks into the rainforest being put on fire. But it didn't really occur to me to what extent how this was affecting everyone. And it comes with research. It comes with time. This is what the news is supposed to be talking about. But last week on the news, they were talking about Popeye's chicken versus Chick-fil-A's chicken. And if I can just say this, black people, you guys vex me. And it's not because you guys find simplistic joy in just the like the dumbest things. It's the fact that you give power to these dumb things. If I got 1% of the $25.3 million of advertising that you guys provided for Popeyes, my comic book would be making like $100,000 or something like that. We give away our culture for free and get mad when people try and claim it as their own. We don't monetize it. We don't prioritize it. We just get mad when other people figure out how to do that. And this is something that I'm infuriated with my own people. But these are the things that have been covered on the news. Like, they've been talking about the dumbest things, but also important things. But I feel like the world running out of oxygen should be at the top of the list. That is legitimately something that we do not know how to handle. Because usually when rich people take advantage of poor people, it is to their advantage. But if there's no oxygen on the planet, there's no oxygen on the planet. If you can't breathe, I can't breathe. Eric Gardner. Like, we're done. There's no coming back from that. So it's baffling to me that, world leaders aren't coming together like they did for the Notre Dame Cathedral Church. Why were they willing to restore a church so quickly, but not their primary source of oxygen? Their primary source of life, which is oxygen. That should really make you wonder. Has greed really destroyed us to that extent? The answer is yes. And that's scary. But a little bit about some facts about the fire in itself. It is per minute, the rainforest is burning something like the size of a football field per minute or something of that nature. That's so hard for me to believe. I thought I read one day, but no, it's a minute, a football field a minute. So in 3 days, basically from yesterday, the rainforest would have consumed every national playing field in the world. So all playing fields in the world, from baseball fields to football fields to, soccer fields, all of that. We would have accounted for all of them in 3 days. Furthermore, in the next week, if these fires haven't been put in control, we would have lost effectively 20% of the oxygen in the world. We would have also had a whole entire nation on fire to the south, 60% of a nation on fire. We would lose upwards of 100,000 different types of species who inhabit that rainforest. A few 300,000 people, in addition, who live in the forest have been displaced already. 3 million people will be displaced totally. A national emergency, a global emergency, effectively has gone in place as 3 million people are now displaced. And there's a cycle of chaos that continues to happen that we are not learning through the history books, and they never talk about this. When America doesn't enact, like, there was a story about how Donald Trump was mad that that people in the UN aren't paying as much as America was paying. Like we were paying 3.2%, and some people were paying like the average. The mandatory is 2%, and I think some people are paying like 1.9. Some people are paying 2.1. But America 3.2. But that is America. We show up and show out. We don't rely on other people to set the bar. We set the bar. But Trump turned this around and used it as they're depending on us. We're doing too much. What about me? What about me? That is not what we do. We don't complain about the burdens that our shoulders were designed to carry. Trump isn't designed to carry a burden. That is why this is happening all around the world. Because when Big Brother acts up, Little Brother acts up. And the bad thing is, Little Brother has to eventually grow the fuck up. And if they're growing up in the wrong way, they're going to do wrong things. And we're seeing the consequences of this. There's no way that the Brazilian president was told about this. He fired his EPA director when he was told that the smoke is literally blocking out the sun at 2 p.m. in Brazil. He fired him. Said that this was a scheme set up by some NGOs or the American government, CIA, to make him look bad. This is a guy who thinks climate change isn't real and he's concerned about his image. You will have no image at the end of the day. We won't. And this begs the question, do we need to have global recognition about things that will affect the world? If 20% of the oxygen is coming from Brazil, I think we as a people need to be able to sanction and protect said land from any man-made errors and effectively give any form of charity or support in an effort to prevent that piece of land from disappearing. I think that's a conversation we need to have. Why, and this begs the question, why come the U.S. isn't doing anything? What does and you always have to follow the money. The fucking money, baby. You know what it is. You gotta follow it. Because a lot of people thought it was strange when Trump said, I want to buy Greenland. That's not the first time it's happened. It's happened to FDR. I think Nixon tried it. I think Clinton tried it. I know the older Bush tried it. It's not the first time it's been brought up. But the reason is because we as Americans, the American population and the government has kind of figured out that we're exponentially growing. And the more the outside world is fucked up, the more people are going to want to come here. Wouldn't it be great if we just had a place we could put them and say it was America, but it's not, and that way we don't have to worry about them? Or if they do overrun the U.S., we have a place to retreat to. There's conspiracies, and then there's conspiracies. But we base our livelihood on facts. And the president canceled his trip to, I think, Denmark? Because of the comments made. That's how soft our president is. That's how fucking soft our president is. You politely tell him, no, you can't buy my fucking country. And he says, I'm not going to have a diplomatic meeting about trade with you. I'm not going to, people are waking up. Farmers are waking up. Trump sold us out. Truckers are waking up. Trump sold us out. Pennsylvania's waking up. We can't do coal mining for the rest of our lives. You mean to tell me I can go learn how to put windmills up in the middle of nowhere and, get a whole new career and avoid getting black lungs out here in these coal mines? I'm doing all this just because you want to make a few extra bucks with your oil buddy friends? Why come the oil companies won't corner that market? Oh, because it's hard. It's going to cost them money. And that's what it's all about. You got to follow the money. So let's look at Brazil. A place that has untapped natural resources. We don't know what's underneath the rainforest. There could be fucking gold mines under there. Could be oil fields underneath there. But at one point, we were never going to know because there was sanctioned protected lands there. People who inhabited that land, that lived there. Indigenous people who belonged there. They threw all that shit out the books. They threw all that shit out with the sink. And you would think that this was something done by these overlord companies. No, these were done by poor people, farmers, who Brazil, if you don't know, they import their beef, which is strange because they have enough resources to have their own beef stateside, countryside, but they don't. Why? Because they don't have land for the cows and cattle to graze, and they need a lot of land, a lot of water, a lot of resources, things that the rainforest has, but they don't have access to. So what better way to make sure that your cattle can roam the range than to destroy the range? You're probably thinking, oh, come on, Hero, that's far-fetched. Why would a bunch of farmers who know the importance of the environment try and destroy the environment? Well, on the day that the fires were being announced internationally and throughout the world, the farmers had a fire parade to show their solidarity and thanks to Balsari, or whatever the fuck his name is, for not interfering with their tactics. The fact that this is an anomaly because the dry season wasn't bad and the wet season was good. There's no reason why this fire should have ever accelerated to this point unless it was man-made. Furthermore, refusing help and support from other countries up until 2 days ago is another sign that this president just wanted to see the world burn for whatever reason. And once again, these aren't intelligent people. And if there's one thing that poor people have continued to fall victims of in this country, is mindless self-indulgence of being rich. A rich person tells a poor person, do this and you'll be rich, and that poor person falls for it every single time. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You get rich one of two ways. You bust your ass off, or you step on someone else's back. The greatest secret to conquering the lower class and the middle class is tricking them into believing that they are fighting against one another. And that tactic has successfully kept Republicans in power. It's the only way. It's the only way you live in Kentucky, Virginia, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Florida, Oklahoma, Alabama, Iowa, and you're living below the poverty line and you're a Republican. That's the only way you're still doing it, is because you are been led to believe that you're poor because some Mexicans are coming across the border, that you're poor because, you know, we have a trade war with China and we're doing everything right. You're wrong. You're so wrong. You don't realize that those companies who you worked your butt off 20 years, took your 401k, shut off and shipped that shit to Mexico, China, Japan, North Korea. You know, the people that we're being told are the enemies, but for some reason the people telling us they're the enemy are also letting them go. So deception is the greatest tool of the rich and is the greatest downfall of the poor. Don't be meek. Don't be meek. Don't fall for the same things over and over and over again. I don't know what's going to happen. This is really this will be an interesting thing to see, because this is the first time that a whole entire population, this is the first time a natural disaster is going to affect, it's not even a man-made disaster is going to shift the way we live our lives. Think about the experiment in the beginning of this podcast. You can't breathe. I lift 400 pounds, deadlift 800 pounds. I could lift the car by myself. If I can't breathe, there's nothing I can do. And if I can't breathe, there's only going to be about 3 to 2 minutes for me to figure out how to breathe again before it won't even matter. What are you going to do? No amount of guns, no amount of political correctness is going to save you from the bare necessity of needing to breathe. And when that is taken away from us, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, what happens when that is when that is it? We are facing a situation that no one ever thought would be necessary. And here we are. So we'll keep a close eye on this. We'll see what happens. But for the meantime and in between time, guys, thanks for joining me. Like, share, subscribe, hit the buttons. You know the routine. You've been here long enough. I've been getting a lot more followers. 3 in the last week. I'm pleased with myself. More importantly, I want to identify with you guys as you continue to identify with me. Tell me what you think about this whole Brazil fire thing. I'm really interested in knowing what's next. What do we do from here? What do you do from here? A few of my friends have like sworn off of certain plastics and certain types of service and gone vegan for the remainder of the week and month, and that's literally all we could do. Like it's just being reported now that 1 month into the fire, Brazil is finally taking action due to pressure from G7, because it's their land and we could do one of two things, and this is the ultimatum they gave them. Do we invade your country to put out the fire, or do you do it by yourself? And Brazil went with the latter, so we're grateful for that, for what it's worth. But guys, take care of yourselves. Continue to identify with me as I identify with you. It's been a blast. I'll see you guys later. Maybe I'll see you guys later. Joke's on you. Last podcast.